Alexis Mac Allister's stock as a Liverpool player has never been higher. So let's take a look at how he arrived at the Reds and what has changed to propel his season to such lofty heights. Now, he was raised in a family deeply rooted in football, his father Carlos being a former Argentine international, and his older brothers Francis and Kevin are also professionals. And his journey to be a professional began with club Atletico Argentinos Juniors, where he rose through the youth ranks in their academy. Brighton saw enough to sign the then 20-year-old Mac Allister in January 2019. Although he would be loaned back to Argentinos Juniors and then Boca Juniors, he would go on to establish himself as a key part of Graham Potter's Brighton side. However, it wasn't until Roberto De Zerbi took over in the dugout that Mac Allister's development went up to the next level. In his final season at Brighton, it's fair to say that he was no longer flying under the radar. He ended the season with 35 Premier League starts and 10 goals, not forgetting the small matter of playing in 6 World Cup matches, which ended up with Argentina and Mac Allister claiming the biggest prize in football and becoming world champions. Up stepped Liverpool, who were looking to revamp their midfield, and when the Reds triggered a clause in Mac Allister's contract that made the World Cup winner available for around £35 million, it seemed like a no-brainer. So what has the season been like so far for the man from Santa Rosa? Well, it wasn't an ideal start for Mac Allister, as both Fabinho and Jordan Henderson left the club, which meant that Liverpool had no dedicated number 6 in the squad. We all know what happened with the club's protracted search for reinforcements, and it wasn't until after Liverpool played Chelsea in the opening weekend of the Premier League that Wataru Endo became what was seen as a stopgap emergency signing as a defensive midfielder. In that match, Mac Allister would start at the base of the Reds midfield with Dominic Szoboszlai and Cody Gakpo either side of him. Out of his teammates, he would have the most touches, but he would also carry the ball the furthest, not just side to side, but progressively too, underlying his desire to move forward rather than being a natural sitter. Now, Mac Allister's season has dovetailed with Endo's, with the Japan captain's initial discomfort with the pace and physicality of the Premier League, meaning that Mac Allister had to take up the defensive midfield role. And it's fair to say that in his first few games there, he was targeted by opposition players, hoping that his relative unfamiliarity with the role would lead to mistakes. After losing possession a few times, Mac Allister showed one of his key characteristics, that is being able to learn and improve his game. He would develop his body shape when receiving the ball and use his small height to the players around him to his advantage, spreading his legs and gaining extra strength from his lowest centre of gravity. He became more difficult to dispossess in vulnerable areas of the pitch, such as receiving the ball from the goalkeeper with the centre-back split. Now, obviously, he's an exceptional player, but there was a feeling that his talents weren't being used to their full potential, and we can look at 2 key matches that have pushed Mac Allister's Liverpool season onto a higher plane. Firstly, there was Liverpool's dramatic 4-3 win over Fulham at Anfield in December. He put in a solid display as a holding midfielder, but it was a spectacular strike on 38 minutes that will live long in the memory. An absolutely amazing goal that lifted the lid off Anfield, and Mac Allister's confidence would visibly increase. Now, he'd pick up a knee injury in the following match at Sheffield United and face a spell on the sidelines, during which we saw Wataru Endo get some more game time and really start to show the qualities that convinced Jurgen Klopp to bring him to Anfield. Mac Allister's next Premier League start would come at Bournemouth in January, and his performance was just outstanding. With Endo at the Asia Cup, Mac needed to step up, and once again we saw his football intelligence at work. He was the best player on the pitch as the Reds romped to a 4-0 victory, leading the way with chances created, final third entries, tackles, interceptions and duels won. In fact, no Liverpool player has made more tackles in a Premier League game in the last 8 seasons, with Mac Allister also winning back possession an incredible 15 times. It was the match that seemed to win over the last of the doubters, maybe unconvinced by his sometimes understated style of play. Put simply, he's the most economical midfielder you're ever likely to see, doing exactly what's required in the right moment. More recently, he's taken his game at Liverpool up yet another level with his performance at Nottingham Forest, in what could hopefully turn out to be a season-defining game. He was the heartbeat of the side, pulling the strings in midfield with Joe Gomez, not Wataru Endo, behind him as a 6. Mac Allister created 6 chances, more than anybody else on the pitch, with his incredible last-second assist for Darwin Núñez's winner, typifying the style of Liverpool's number 10. Receiving the ball in a chaotic situation with Liverpool's title charge on a knife edge, he kept possession, somehow kept his composure, glanced up to analyse his options, then executed the perfectly weighted ball to Núñez with his weaker left foot. This was a moment that Mac Allister had been working towards, with regular goals and assists creeping into his game. He has stepped up when Liverpool needed him the most, with a never-ending injury list and fixtures coming thick and fast. It was a similar story the week previous to the Forest match when Liverpool took on Luton Town at home. Mac Allister delivered a goal and 2 assists after the Reds had gone a goal down. Once again, his patience and mentality were key factors in calming down his teammates. Mac Allister just seems to play the game at his own pace and not be affected by the chaos that can sometimes unfurl around him. If Liverpool are to be successful in Jurgen Klopp's quest for even more silverware this season, then Alexis Mac Allister's mental, physical and technical abilities will be key components. Can he add more goals to his game? Possibly, but even when he reached double figures for Brighton, only 3 were from open play. Hopefully the likes of Szoboszlai, Jones and Gravenberch can play a meaningful part in midfield this season, but is Alexis Mac Allister the number 10 with a World Cup winners medal who's been the key ingredient in the Reds' midfield revamp?